Alright, I want to get ahead of any bad faith allegations by saying that Toby Fox is an incredibly talented musician. I have nothing but respect for him and everything he's managed to accomplish. I also don't want to pretend that he's some infallible god of music and the greatest musical mind of our generation. He's just a guy, and just like anyone else, he has his flaws, and he's really good at acknowledging them. So I don't understand why it would be a controversial take to say that I think he did something that I do not like. And before I get anyone in my comments saying stuff like, oh, why do you care? Oh, why are you talking about it so much? I am so incredibly sorry that I consider stuff like nuance and context when I judge art. Now that I have gotten that out of the way, comparing replacing these songs to pasting your own face over someone's family photos and then going on to replace a lot of the music with a bunch of Undertale and Homestuck references has to be one of the least self-aware things I have ever seen anyone do ever. Which is so weird because Toby Fox does not have a history of lacking self-awareness. But there he goes. He's made like 3 Megalovania references, Fake Orchestra has been completely replaced with Bone Trouser, except it's trying way too hard to be taken seriously, and there's like a ton of Homestuck references, which anyone who's not read through Homestuck is never going to get, because nobody is ever going to read Homestuck. But then you look at any of the comments about any of this, and it's just full of people talking about how cool it is because they get the reference, or talking about how stupid it is to complain about this. Could you imagine if this was any other series ever? Like, imagine a Ratchet and Clank remake, but all of the boss fight themes are replaced with Megalovania and Power of Neo. That wouldn't fly at all. But since it's off, it doesn't have a big enough fan base for anyone to care, except for the people who really do care, and they're gonna get strong-armed into complacency. And since it's Toby Fox, everyone is gonna talk about how cool it is. And now I know exactly what's gonna happen. They're gonna keep strong-arming the discussion until like a year or two has passed, then people are finally gonna be able to come out and talk about the issues they have with the soundtrack, and then all of a sudden, oh, so he's switching up on Toby Fox now? Because everybody on the internet is a Sonic fan, and that is a fact. And also, just as art, I feel like Dedan's theme, just being Papyrus's theme now, lowers the song's value as Papyrus's theme, because now it's just also Dedan's theme. And I know you're probably gonna be saying, oh, why do you care so much? Because I care about nuance and context. Refer to the disclaimer. And if you ignore the context of, oh, well, this song was made for this game and this song was made for this game, it just sounds like a Silva Gunner rip. That's when I first heard it, I thought it was a joke because it sounded like a Silva Gunner rip. I couldn't believe Toby Fox made such a bad decision. And I hate the fact that I feel like I can't talk about it just because Toby Fox is the one behind it. I get it, Toby Fox is great. We all love him, we love his music. But I just don't like what he did with Off. I feel like the original soundtrack was way better. It was this unique weirdness that didn't really have its own genre, to the point where so many people have been completely inspired by Coldwood's works to where they would be able to do such a better job at recreating the original soundtrack's feel. There's an Off fan game called Home. Go listen to that soundtrack and tell me that that team wouldn't do a better job than Toby Fox, who I have never seen be less confident in anything than his involvement with this remake. And I know I mentioned it earlier, but it is so weird to hear him say, I feel like I'm breaking into someone's house and putting my face on people's family photos, and then just replacing Coldwood's work with references to other stuff he did. It just feels like, oh, look at me, look at my incredibly successful career. And I know that sounds hateful, but it is not. I am just so genuinely upset about this from the perspective exclusively as looking at the soundtrack as an art piece, because the original soundtrack was new, it was weird, it was surrealist, it fit off perfectly, and the new soundtrack is just Undertale and generic RPG music. To the point where Toby Fox just kind of gave up on making a battle theme and hired someone else to do it. He ended up commissioning like 3 people several times, and it still wasn't near as good as Pepper Steak. And I need to say this, it is not at all Toby's fault. It is Mortis Ghost's fault. I love Mortis Ghost. He's an incredibly talented artist. I really like his new art style. I liked his old art style better, but he's still so incredibly talented. He's just lost the plot entirely. The original Off would not have gotten Toby Fox. Anyway, I just really needed to complain about this because I know the new soundtrack doesn't suck and the remake's gonna do great. It's just, it feels like the original vision that everyone fell in love with is just being replaced with Toby Fox and Undertale references and stuff, and it's just, I feel like no one's actually gonna care. Nobody cares because it isn't something insanely popular. It's just off, which has such a niche fan base that everyone is just so happy to be getting anything at all again. So I feel like I feel kind of alone. I've only been able to catch like 2 people that agree with me on this whole thing so far, and I just needed to kind of throw this out there to see if anyone else agrees. And if you don't agree, I mean, let me know what you think in the comments. Does it really matter that much? Is the original art lost with this new change? And is that such an issue? I don't know. I just feel like I've cared about Off since I was a kid. I was a fan of Off before I was a fan of Undertale by like 2 months, you know? And like when I got a computer, the first game I played on it was Off. So this game is kind of important to me in a way that no other game really is. So to see it be replaced by Bone Trousel and Megalovania is just really upsetting. And I really hope that the demo gets enough feedback that they're willing to roll back on the constant references in the music before the finished product. Anyway, drink plenty of water, be sure to brush your teeth even if you're depressed, and go to bed at 10 if you're gonna wake up at 6.